Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 77 of the Knuckle Sammich podcast, the official MMA podcast of Sauce on the Side. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Thomas R. Shackelford.
Back again.
Today, Dippers, we will talk about UFC Fight Night 161, which was headlined by Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Michelle Waterson. We will talk about and give official picks for UFC on ESPN number 6, which is actually tonight. Mr. Shackelford, we need winners. You were above 500 last weekend. But before we can do any of this, latency, producer, drop the noise. Welcome to the Knuckle Sammich podcast with Thomas R. Shackelford, a Sauce on the Side production. All right, Mr. Shackelford, I think the card last weekend, we really hyped it up. We talked about how good it was compared to some of the events that they've had on pay-per-view lately, how the bill, top to bottom, was really solid. I think it lived up to the hype.
Oh, for sure. I didn't get to watch it all live, but I went back and watched the whole event from from the very first fight to the very end fight. Just a really fun card, really fun all the way around.
No, I absolutely agree. All the way from the early prelims all the way to the main card. We'll just talk about the main card and some of the winners of the night. Joanna Jędrzejczyk beats Michelle Waterson in a 5-round decision. Seems to be that Joanna's just going to 5-round decision basically everybody in this weight class. Is it safe to say that Joanna is back?
Yeah, I mean she'll be the next for Weili Zhang. She's only got 3 losses, 2 to Rose and 1 to Valentina. And that was at 125. I don't think she was ever gone. I think she had that one really, really bad weight cut that resulted in the straight KO, quick KO to Rose. And then their second fight, I thought it was a lot closer. People keep saying like how Rose just killed her. I really didn't think so. And actually, I thought she won the fight. I remember, I can't remember if it was the 3rd or 4th or maybe both rounds. Rose wasn't walking that well. She got lit up with leg kicks. The biggest problem with that fight was Joanna's just such a volume striker, but not always necessarily like a knockout striker. So she didn't have as many big punches or head kicks or whatever as Rose did. It wasn't one of those that was so contentious that people are going to talk about it forever. But, against Weili Zhang, I probably like Joanna in that. She just outclassed Waterson in every area. And the fight went like I kind of predicted it would. Waterson couldn't do much on the outside. She just isn't as big and as long. She tried getting into grappling and she just got beat up with body kicks and body knees and elbows. Great fight. Love them both. Still, the Karate Hottie's right up there. She's got that name. She could always slip into a title shot. But, Joanna's next for Weili Zhang. I don't see how she isn't.
Next up in the co-main, it was Cub Swanson beating Kron Gracie. Last week, we talked about how, you thought Kron Gracie was going to win, but this was the biggest step up in competition in Kron Gracie's career. Cub Swanson ends up beating him. 3-round decision. What does this say about Kron Gracie? And more importantly, does this put, Cub back into that contention where he's going to be fighting, top 5 guys again?
Great fight. Very fun fight. Kron didn't try a takedown. He tried to pull guard twice. Very, very unsuccessfully. Not even close to getting it. And then a couple times he kind of did where he almost pulled, or they caught up and he kind of fell, and he tried to do where he was on his butt and reach under to grab a heel to get guard, but Cub just backed out. No real attempt to get to the fight to the mat. Basically, he stood in front of Cub and just duked it out with him for 3 rounds. Fun fight. He definitely had some moments. And he pushed forward the whole time like a little Terminator, but it was almost basically Cub got tired of beating on him. And I know at one point, you remember Stipe versus DC hitting those body punches, just looked like he walked up to a heavy bag and punched him. That's what Cub was doing to Kron, and Kron never flinched. He just kept walking forward, and at the end of the fight, they kind of asked him, like, hey, you were hitting those body shots, was like that part of the game plan? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I was trying to, at some point during that fight, I just kept thinking, aren't these supposed to pay off sometime? He's like, he never flinched one time. So probably one of the funnest fights of the year. A real enigma for me, because Kron never shot a takedown, never really tried to get it to the mat. He basically just, I don't know. I'm not sure what happened. It was like he just stood there and was like, I just want to see how tough I am. Tough as hell.
Yeah.
Cub hit him with everything, including the kitchen sink. Didn't ever hurt him, didn't knock him down, didn't stop him at all. But, I mean, it was a clear Cub win. It just, wild fight. It was nice. Cub was emotional after. He was like tearing up. They asked him, you've had a couple losses. How does it feel to get a win? And like he almost cried. I love Cub, great fighter. A little weirded out by how Kron fought. It's almost one of those things. He's got all this pressure on him to be the next great guy, and his dad's Rickson Gracie, who's like 400-0 and this legend in jiu-jitsu and fighting. It almost, I can't say for sure, but it was almost like maybe one of those things where he's like, I'm just going to fight this guy in his best realm, and just almost like what's the word? He took a very masochistic approach to this fight. He's like, I'm just going to let this dude beat the shit out of me, and just that's life type thing. Weird fight. Amazing fight, but weird fight.
Yeah. Next up, we have Nico Price. Ends up finishing James Vick with an up kick. I think they said that this is the second up kick finish in UFC history. Everybody's always
Only
worried.
Second?
I was surprised. I had heard that, so I don't know if it's actually true, but that's what I heard.
Yeah.
They're very rare. In Nico Price, I think this is the second time he's finished a guy hitting somebody off his back, because he had the one where he just punched and knocked the guy out.
Hammer fist one.
And then this. Nico Price, all-time classic. Like, this is Nico Price. Learn to love it.
Yeah, fun guy. I knew it was going to be a bad matchup for Vic. Vic, we now know that if you just pressure Vic nonstop, he has a hard time fighting backing up. And that's what Price did. I mean, right from Jump Street, Vic didn't look comfortable. He got hit with some shots. Nico Price is a gigantic 70-pounder. But, I mean, to his credit, Vic looked good at 70. And he was towering over Price still. So, it wasn't a size thing. It's just, it may be a mentality thing. He just didn't deal with the pressure very well. Got taken down, was getting lit up on the ground, and I can't remember if he had a sweep or what happened, but when he came up on top, it was one of those things like he didn't seem to have a real clear game plan of how he was going to come down into the guard, and Price just, I mean, they had the camera on him for maybe 3 or 4 seconds, and Vic looked like a dead body. I mean, it was bad. It was one of those that you'll see this sometimes in fights, especially on those free cards where they're on regular TV. They might show the knocked out fighter, but they will pan away. Like
immediately.
They almost never show long-term camera on the guy that's knocked out, just because it's hard to watch. People don't want to see that, I don't know what Vic's going to do now. I mean, that's like 4 knockout losses in a row.
This is one of those times that you have to just like step away for a little bit.
Yes.
You have to.
You got to take
We thought he should have after the last one. But now this, you have to.
Have to. And the bad thing was, these guys, they think, well, it was the weight cut doing this to me. It was the weight cut. So now he's moved up. He didn't have to cut the weight. It happened again. This is kind of, you see some fighters go into desperation mode. They move camps. They divorce their wife. They go kind of crazy. So hopefully that doesn't happen to him. He probably does need to leave his camp. He's under Floyd Irvin, the weird dude. You could Google that. But, a camp change from Lloyd Irvin wouldn't be a bad thing,
right?
But he's got. I don't want to see James Vick for like a year. Like, at all. I don't want to hear his name uttered in a fight for a year.
And then after a year, I could start getting excited for James Vick.
Yes, exactly.
Next up, we have Mackenzie Dern suffering her first loss in MMA. Lost to Amanda Ribas, 3-round decision. Mackenzie Dern just couldn't get a takedown.
Exactly. She didn't get hit as much as... this was very like Kron. This was like the Kron fight, except women. She didn't really get hit as much, and she's kind of got this awkward style where she's herky-jerky, but it's not getting hit a ton. She tried a couple takedowns, just couldn't get it. You know, she faced a tough fighter that had a better skill set than her. Tough loss, but it's one of those losses that you can learn from, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think even out of it, I think more people will still be more excited to see Mackenzie Dern fight next time than Rivas, which is, it's messed up. It's like whenever Barberena beat what's the local yokel? Sage Northcutt.
Yes.
Like, people didn't even remember Barberena until
we did.
like a couple fights later when he turned into the Terminator.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those weird things how fighting works.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, man. We were always excited for Brian Barberena fights.
I mean, we're watching a lot more fights than a normal person.
All right, next up, Eric Anders ends up picking up a 3-round decision against Gerald Meerschaert. This was exciting for me because, you know, your boy finally got back in the win column, looked good doing it. What were your thoughts on this fight?
Just good performance all around. I mean, Meerschaert's a tough guy. He's had some good wins. That was a perfect back on track fight for Anders. I mean, you couldn't have fought better. Back at 85. Let's get your boy back on track.
Yeah, I absolutely agree there. So let's go ahead and talk about the card that we have tonight. It is UFC on ESPN. It starts tonight. Actually, I think it's 8 o'clock Central Time is when the main card starts. Early card starts earlier than that, obviously. Let's start off hot and heavy. We'll start with the main event. And I'm gonna give you the odds first, and I'm gonna tell you why I think these odds are weird.
Okay. So
we have Dominic Reyes, who is a minus 165 favorite, over Chris Weidman, who is a plus 135 dog. So these odds are not as drastic as I thought they would be. I thought we would at least see Dominic Reyes as a minus 200 favorite in this fight, especially seeing what he's done over his last few. He's 11-0. 8 of his fights have been finished in the first round by KO, TKO. His last 3 wins, he beat Volkan Ozdemir, OSP, and Jared Cannonier, who we've seen drop down to 185, which is where Weidman had some struggles. And Weidman, 1-4 in his last 5, and out of those 4 losses, he's been knocked out 4 times.
That's what's going to sway my. I want to pick Weidman. You know, that guy that came in that was like 14-0 and just went up against Silva and
Vitor,
kind of won those weird ones. You know, that guy. He's not there. He's older. He seems to. The older you get, like that confidence, you know, it's got to go down. He's had some really bad. Even like the Yoel Romero, he was winning that fight, and just that was a brutal knockout. Same thing with Luke Rockhold. He was having a good fight, threw a stupid kick, got taken down. It was an even fight, and then he just got demolished. This is another one where he's moving up in weight. He's had a string of knockout losses. This is one of those, like, you know, is it the weight cut that's causing those issues? Of course, you get older, the weight cut's harder.
We saw this last week with James Vick.
I'm picking Reyes. I want to pick Weidman. I think his wrestling pedigree is better. His jiu-jitsu pedigree is definitely better. If Weidman wins, I think it's off of a clinch to a guillotine type situation. I really do. But I think Reyes is going to be too big, too fast, and too strong, and too young, confident. All the attributes are just leading towards another KO loss to Weidman, unfortunately. But you're right. Those odds, I expected Reyes to be a much bigger favorite than that.
Yeah, and you think about what has beat Chris Weidman in the past. it's always been just piss and vinegar.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, he's always more technical. He's better. He's a better fighter than most of the people he loses to, but piss and vinegar beats him, and Dominic Reyes just happens to be nothing but piss and vinegar.
He's a grinder. He's a grinder, and he's had trouble with those dudes that can just take the grind and still explode, and that's absolutely what Dominic Reyes is. So.
Yes. All right, next up, this one has some bad blood. We have Jeremy Stevens weighing in goggles, getting ready for this fight.
Did you see his interviews where he's like, if he does not die, it does not count?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No,
and not only, usually when they say that, they'll back off of it. Frank Mir famously kind of got fired from the WEC. Frank Mir was one of the best commentators of all time. He was working WEC events, and around the time Brock Lesnar and him fought, when it was building up to UFC 100, he said something along the lines like, I would just want to kill the guy. Like, I don't care if he dies. They fired him. Like, he lost his gig there.
Yeah. I don't know if Jeremy Stevens is going to be in for any announcing gigs, though.
Well, no, he's not going to be an announcer, but it's one of those things, usually they back off. When they say it, they back off of it. He said it in like 4 more interviews. Like,
yes.
This isn't going to be an intense one.
Yes.
What's the odds on this? Cause
dead even. We have Yair Rodriguez, who's minus 120, to Jeremy Stevens, who's minus 110.
So, dead even. The last fight I picked Yair.
This is going to be emotional.
I'm picking Stevens in this one.
Yes.
I was on the fence about Yair in the first one because of how good Stevens fought Zabit, and I think Zabit and Yair are very, very close in styles, but he doesn't have the wrestling Zabit has. I think Stevens gets this one, man. This is going to be like one of those nights you won a big money prize. When I first started helping you bet shit, you remember Stevens fought Dennis Bermudez.
Yes.
Bermudez was the favorite, and I was like, dude, he gets hit. I'm telling you, at some point, little Stevens gets the KO. It happened. I feel like that's happening on this one.
Yeah, I do too. And a lot of people are saying, Stevens is going to come out way too emotional. Guys, this is a 3-round fight. Like,
you have to be.
Yes.
If it was a 5-rounder, it's a different story.
Yes.
3 rounds, I got Stevens.
Yeah, 3 rounds. I absolutely agree there. I could not be more excited for this. And, they did fight just, less than a month ago, right around a month ago, and they got to stand in front of each other. I know that a lot, not much happened in that fight, but I think just being able to stand across from the guy and just see it firsthand is going to benefit Stevens more than what it benefits Yair Rodriguez, because now he has a visual image of how he looks like, because with Stevens, what you see is what you get. You watch the film, like, that's the guy you're going to fight. and Rodriguez would be somebody that if you can stand across from him for just a minute or two, and you can see it, I think that does help Stevens here in this fight.
That really helped this card out a lot. It needed another kind of like marquee set of names to really be like, hey, this is a really nice card.
Oh, this card's insane.
That fit right in there.
Yeah, I mean, you look down.
Otherwise, we were about to get another freaking Greg Hardy co-main.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's what we were hitting. I mean, that's what it was.
No, it was a collision course. And, like, fighters that we're not even going to talk about on this card. Court McGee, Kevin Holland, Manny Bermudez. Like, this thing is loaded to the gourd. All right. So the fight that would have been the co-main, it would have been like his 20th co-main in a row. Greg Hardy.
No need to talk about it. Picking the other guy.
You picking the other guy? Do you know anything about him?
No. I know he's from New Zealand, so he's got that big Pacific Islander melon on him. I hope he can take some shots, wear Greg Hardy down, whoop his ass.
I hope. I hope.
We made a pact a long time ago to never pick Greg Hardy, and I'm sticking with it. Win, lose, or draw.
One of these days we will be right.
Guaranteed. I mean,
and you're getting good odds here. Greg Hardy's a 310 favorite.
Okay, then this is your dog pick. This is going to be your big money winner. The Pacific Islander, the New Zealander, the whatever they call him, the Kiwi. He's getting some punches.
His nickname's the Kiwi?
Well, they call those like New Zealander guys Kiwis, I think.
Oh, why?
I don't know. They got different wearing names.
That'd be a cool nickname, though.
His head needs to be like one of those Maui statues on fucking Easter Island. He's got to bink some punches off of it, wear him down, trash him.
Yeah, I hope he does. Next up, Joe Lozon. Anytime you get a free fight card like this, Joe Lozon's the fourth to last fight. Like, you're in good shape. Taking on Jonathan Pierce, Lozon is a plus 145 dog to Pierce, who is a minus 175 favorite. Mr. Shackelford, what's the pick?
I hate to pick this one, really. I love Lozon. He's been one of the best dudes forever. I still remember when he came out and beat Jens Pulver, just unbelievable. Nobody thought that was going to happen.
This is the second time Jens Pulver's been mentioned in like 3 shows for us.
He's a legend. I don't know much about Jonathan Pierce. Here's what I know about Jonathan Pierce. July, he had a TKO win. September, TKO win. December, TKO win. October, TKO win. You want to know Lozon's last fights?
What were they?
TKO loss, decision loss.
He's had a string of knockouts.
Yeah.
I hate for you to do this because I love Joe Lozon.
Originally,
you mean to maybe put something in your ear?
Yes.
Out of his 3 losses, which is Jonathan Pierce. Out of Jonathan Pierce's 3 losses, he's been submitted twice. One was a toe hold. He lost a fist fight by a toe hold.
I was going to put a little asterisk on this. This isn't a card I would bet, and I was going to wait till the end of the card to kind of explain why. I wouldn't bet this card. The reason being, one of the main guys on it missed weight by 2.5 pounds. One of the fights was one of the up-and-coming stars in her weight class. This will be her first big test. You don't know what Weidman's going to do at the new weight class. Stevens, Yair is going to be so emotional. You don't know really what's going to happen. Hardy and that dude, the pick should be Hardy, but we made the pact. And then this fight. All 6 fights on the main card have something that a reason why I wouldn't bet on him. I'm picking J-Lo. He's in Boston. He's a Boston guy. I hope he toe holds this kid and then retires.
Yes.
That's my pick. I would not bet on that pick, but I'm not going to pick against Lozon in Boston.
You can't.
No. And I'm already fucking up the picks anyways. I'm already picking with the heart too many times on this card. Don't bet them. These are just my heart picks. This Boston card's all heart.
All heart. Hey, Boston strong, baby. Boston strong. Somewhere Big Poppy's fist pumping.
Yeah, he's smoking a cigar, healing up his wounds, just like Boston strong.
Yeah. This is Joe Lozon's 43rd fight.
Dude's done it.
Yes.
And he was he doesn't necessarily need to do it, I don't think.
You wouldn't imagine.
You can't not love the guy. His son had childhood cancer a few years ago, and he's battled dealing with that. His son's cancer free. He was this huge underdog coming against Jens Pulver. There's nothing about this dude that's anything but everybody loves him.
No, I absolutely agree.
Why did they put him against this dude that's just knocked out everybody? And Lozon's been knocked out like it. Oh, I hate it.
I do too, but I hope he can win. I hope he can win. So next up we have Macy Barber opening as a minus 150 favorite to Jillian Robertson, who is a plus 120 dog. We just watched Jillian Robertson fight just not that long ago, I feel.
And I think she had an upset win. She's tough as nails, man. She's tough as nails.
Yeah, she's actually beat your girl Meatball Molly.
Yeah.
Earlier on. What's the pick here? What's the pick?
I am going Barber. Barber's got a lot of hype behind her. A lot of it, she's a good fighter. I had told you to pick up J.J. Aldrich against her, and J.J. Aldrich almost beat her in that last time we saw her, I believe, but didn't quite pan out. one thing that Macy Barber showed me in that is she's a fighter. I mean, she was losing. She was getting rocked. She was losing. Next round, she comes out, changes up the game plan, gets a big win. I'm really all in on her. I think she's a very good fighter. She's young. She's beautiful. She's got that charisma about her. She's kind of called out. Did you see she's trying to get a fight really bad with Paige Van Zant, so much that she DM'd Paige Van Zant's husband, like sending him just like trolling. He like, hey, you should give me a workout plan, shit, like just trying to piss off Paige to get a fight with her.
It's smart. That sells.
But Jillian Robertson, you know, she beat Sarah Frada this last one, which I believe was an upset. She's tough. This will be the biggest test. A little bit different. I won't say she's a bigger test than JJ Aldrich. It's different. This girl's more of a grappler. JJ's a striker. So I think Barber gets a late stoppage here. Should be a fun fight. But this is, again, another one when I was breaking down, just it just added another reason not really to bet on this card, just because this fight it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It could go either way easily.
Yeah, and the last fight we're going to talk about here is Darren Wynn, who opens as a minus 130 favorite, to Darren Stewart, who is even odds. One of these guys did make weight, correct?
Deron Wynn, who's about 5'6", and
yes,
fights 185. He missed by 2.5 pounds.
That's interesting.
Everybody's like, he's so short. He needs to go to. He's a world class wrestler. Like, he was gonna be training to try and make the Olympic team before he decided to go to MMA. He's one of DC's friends, proteges type thing, but he's a little thick boy, and he missed weight by 2.5 pounds.
You said it all. You didn't have to say he's a little thick boy. If he's DC's prodigy, we know he's going to be a little thick.
He had a really good fight with Eric Spicely, their last fight. He needs to wrestle more with this guy. This dude is big, a striker. I think he's from England, big English striking background. He has got to implement that. And he would be a solid pick here, but with him missing weight by 2.5 pounds, make me worry about his conditioning a little bit. He's got to get this dude to the ground and get him down quick and just wear him out.
Yeah, I agree. I like him. I like Deron Wynn.
I do too, and this other dude's awesome too. It should be an awesome fight. Deron Wynn is a guy that comes in with a lot of hype behind him just because of the DC connection and being at AKA. Dude, he's like 5'7". He's
listed as 5'5" on Tapology.
5'5"?
5'5".
I knew he was short.
He's like 4 C's thick, dude.
His legs are. I mean, I'm kind of famous for my thick legs. I think my 2 legs are as thick as his 1 leg. That is a tough height. Think of some of the 85 pounders. Weidman's like 6'2". You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Israel Adesanya is easily 6 foot tall. I think maybe a touch taller. That is a tough height and reach disadvantage.
But
but he missed weight. It ain't like he's weighing in at 180 and like, hey, you need to be down at 70. I don't know that he could make 70.
But I think that the height is at his advantage.
You think it's an advantage?
I think it's an advantage, and here's why.
Maybe in wrestling.
Here's why I think it's an advantage. Who do these guys spar with that's 5'5"? He spars with guys all the time that are 6 foot tall.
I mean,
so it's not like he's short in the sense where like he's fighting like he's like 5'10", like 5'10", 5'8". I think puts you to disadvantage because their punches are still going to be in the realm of where they practice to punch. He is 3 inches shorter than what you would even expect to fight. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
so like
I've sparred with a lot of dudes. The old like Taekwondo studio I went to, it was notorious for just sparring. Like, you just 2 days a week were
show
just
and go
straight sparring. And there'd be some days where I would, I was like 18, 19, 20. There'd be some days where there'd only be like 2 or 3 of us, like adults, and then there would be a handful of 7th and 8th graders, and then little kids, and those kids sparred too. I have sparred with a bunch of 5'5" kids, And I'm telling you, it is easy to jab the shit out of somebody that is 5'5".
Yes, but you're also like 5'9". It's not that big of a deal.
Come on, I'm like 5'10 3/4. Don't dog me like that. I'm like 5'11". I mean,
okay, now we're going up. Mr. Shackelford is 6'5", 220 pounds.
It's a tough height, man. He ain't Mike Tyson. If he had the striking accolades of Mike Tyson, I would say the height was not a disadvantage. It would be an advantage. He is not Mike Tyson. There are guys in the weight class that could easily jab and front kick him to an easy 3-round decision victory.
We'll see
if they wanted to.
We'll see. I'm telling you, I think that he's in a weird height to where nobody.
Well, this will be a good test because this dude's big, tall, good.
He's
striker.
shorter than most featherweights.
For sure. I mean, he's like Chad Mendez with 50 pounds of muscle added on. He's like Chad. I seen a picture of Chad Mendez the other day. He looks like Ronnie Coleman, the Mexican Ronnie Coleman. That's kind of what Deron Wynn looks like.
I'm telling you, dude. I think the 5'5". If he was 5'7", I'd be worried. But he's 5'5".
He's even shorter. He's in the weird realm.
I think this is an advantage, especially for a guy who can wrestle. All right, so news and notes before we wrap this show up. Looks like we have Conor McGregor, Frankie Edgar wanting to. Conor McGregor's wanting to fight Frankie Edgar. I don't know where it's coming from Frankie. I saw a report today.
His next fight's going to be at 135.
Yes,
I mean it's a money fight. It's a money fight for Frankie.
This makes no sense though for Conor McGregor.
I don't know what's going on with him. He needs to fight. He needs to either say...
I think he's lost his mind.
But back when I came on this show for the very first time and did like that 5-minute guest spot, Coach Steve was like, we just need him to fight.
Yes.
That's here we are like another year and a half later from that. So he's either got to poop or get off the pot, The Frankie fight I think would be an easy fight for him. He could do what I say. He's gonna stand on the outside, hit Frankie with bombs, and win the fight pretty easy. I don't think it's a competitive fight at all. Frankie's talking about going to 135. Kind of a weird move for a guy that's a 55-pound champ and who's had like 4 title fights at 45. Considering McGregor's could fight 170. I mean, he's a big guy. I don't like the fight for Frankie. Dana White came out and said it's not happening, which is usually a good indicator that it could be happening.
Yes, that it's almost signed.
Yeah. This is bananas world at this point.
Yeah, I don't get this fight, and MMA Twitter obviously coming in clutch.
They're dude.
People are saying this is a terrible fight for Conor Gray,
and those people are crazy. They're effing crazy. They are like rabid animals. If you say something they don't like, they will argue with you forever. I'm like the total opposite on Twitter. Like everything's pretty positive for me and funny, and I'll put stuff up.
You were getting replies from who's the guy?
Aaron Bronster.
Yes,
he's the dude that's like really spearheading the Ali Al-Disease stuff, like getting him in trouble and shit. And he was replying to me last night. Like I was like, I just want to know how much ass Ali's whipped. And he like replied and like, but those MMA Twitter guys. What fight was it? A couple weeks ago, we won. But I kind of compared it. I was like, hey, we don't know how long he's been off. We don't know what shape he's in. Blah blah blah. We ended up winning the pick, but I had a guy come out and he's like,
was it Gilbert Burns?
No, I can't remember exactly. It was a bigger fight. I can't remember exactly what it was, but the guy was like, don't you remember Brian Ortega versus Max Holloway? It was one of those things like the person had missed weight and just didn't look good. We won, but he's like, don't you remember Max Holloway and Ortega? Because I do. And I just replied, yo, man, that's a good comparison. I didn't catch that one. I hope this one doesn't turn out like that. The dude didn't reply once our guys won, but MMA Twitter is really amazing. They'll give you like all the latest stuff. They learn shit so quick. I almost can't. I don't know how they do it.
Can you go full heel for 1 week?
No, I don't want to because Twitter.
Come on,
you get people on there like Twitter's so full of hate. I'm taking a break. To me, Twitter's the funnest thing on earth because there's no.
I told you.
It's like all these people hating on each other and stuff, and I'm just like, you blah blah blah, something funny, and it's just leave it there and just it's over. Like, it's totally different than Facebook or any other social media platform. It's way easier to connect with fighters and stuff too. MMA, the hashtag MMA Twitter is the funniest genre to follow.
Yes.
You got people that legitimately just say things to piss people off, and then it'll be like a 100 comment thread. And I usually don't dive in, but like maybe the first 2 comments are hilarious, and then after that, people are just like, "F your mom, I'll kill you," stuff like that. Over who's going to win between Max Holloway and Brian Ortega. Like,
yeah,
it's the wackiest stuff ever.
I want one heel post. Try it out. Just try it out.
Maybe I'll try. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Everybody's going full heel on there, so you might as well. Next up, did you see Mike Tyson?
Oh, dude, the dude's still an animal.
He's still got
this white beard. I actually been listening.
Did he get his face tattoo removed?
No, it's still there.
Okay.
I've been listening. He's got a pretty cool podcast called Hot Boxing. So, have you heard about his ranch?
Oh yeah, KO Kush, man.
Yeah, he grows this like crazy high grade marijuana and like I don't know if he grows it, but
he's got like a bed and breakfast there.
Yeah, it's called the Mike Tyson Ranch, but he does a podcast called Hot Boxing with Mike. They have some amazing guests. First one I listened to was Jimmy Kimmel was on there.
Wow.
It's a really cool podcast. But there's no doubt in my mind Mike Tyson can still murder half the world.
Yes, I agree.
People are lucky that he's a vegan, pot smoking, Gandhi, peace-loving man now, because if that guy that has like Che Guevara tattooed on his thigh or wherever it is, if that dude was still around, he'd be murdering people.
Yeah, no, he is he's the 7th wonder of the world, dude.
At least, I mean, you could probably knock off like Bigfoot, or I mean, at some point they had like Loch Ness monsters and stuff on that. You can knock all those guys off. Just put Tyson on the end of the list. Yes.
So, last bit of news and notes that I wanted to show you before we wrap this up, and I'll take any of your news and notes as well. Somebody posted on Twitter, MMA Twitter, back at it, that Sid from Toy Story looks like Colby Covington. Did you see this?
I don't think I have. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Right now, Google Sid from Toy Story, pull up a picture of Colby Covington. It's identical.
That's hilarious.
Identical.
Yeah. Take away the braces and you got him.
Yes.
I mean, that's Colby when he's a little kid.
Colby is an adolescent. Any news and notes that you were wanting to discuss before we wrap this show up?
Well, speaking of Colby, Pat Downey, me and you have talked about him. He made the world team.
Pat Downey's the man.
Yeah, he's the Lizard King. He's got a half mullet. He's a really good wrestler. Just did pretty good at the Worlds. I think he got 3rd. No, he went 2-1 at the Worlds, but didn't place type thing. One of those kind of weird things. He actually just went down to American Top Team and specifically to train with Colby for Usman and those guys. That could have had a little something to Colby. That fight gets a little more intriguing the closer it gets. The other thing I've told you, I've been in on this PFL, man. I didn't watch the first season at all. This second season I've watched. They do a weird thing where like the first couple shows of the season, like you got to win these fights, and if you get a knockout, you get like 5 points. They do like a point system. So some of the guys that made their quote unquote tournament were like 2-1. But they had a loss, but their 2 wins were spectacular, so they got enough points to make it in. Well, I don't know if I'm.
Isn't this Couture?
That. Yeah, Couture's an announcer.
Makes you work for the finish.
Eve Edwards is an announcer, and then it's not Sean O'Malley. It's Sean O'Connell. He fought for the UFC a few times. He won last year's championship. It's really fun. It's by far. To me, watching it is 10 times better than watching a Bellator.
Yeah, you have cornermen putting water in their mouth and spitting it on guys' faces.
That Ramazan guy. So the finals for like the featherweight and the welterweight, it's like a number 1 versus a number 7. So the guy that was number 7 seeded he was like 2-1 during the regular season. During the playoffs, he won through. So the way they do it, you have to fight twice in a night. The first fight is 2 rounds. And if it goes to a draw, then they just do it like Pride rules, where they pick the totality of the fight. But then the second round's 3 rounds. So I watched the guys fought twice, 2 fights, 2 wins. It's pretty cool. Their big championship show is New Year's Eve, and I'm all in, man. We'll have to break that one down. Really great fights. It's kind of blown me away, to be honest, because I kind of rag on Bellator. They have a bunch of names, but I never know when fights are. I have the Bellator app, and I don't know when fights are. ONE FC's kind of the same way. I think Demetrius Johnson fought last weekend. I never saw if he won or not.
ESPN seems to really be pushing PFL too.
And they do. And the best thing about it is it's $1 million prize for the winner of the tournament.
That's nice.
The runner-up gets $200,000. I'm telling you right now, we could name on 2 hands how many people in the UFC make that per fight.
Yeah.
Like, probably 1 hand. How many people make
$1 million in a fight?
Or even 200,000.
Yeah. No. $1 million in a fight is like Conor McGregor.
Fighter, I would not be trying to get in the UFC. I'd be trying to get in the PFL. Because
Is the tournament yearly?
You're roughly 5 fights away from winning $1 million.
Wow. And the tournament's yearly.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be sooner than a year when the next one comes up. But yeah, well, no, I guess it would be, because I think they fight on New Year's Eve both times.
So you get $1 million.
At Madison Square Gardens on New Year's Eve. It's going to be fun.
That's awesome.
Fun.
That is awesome. Anything else before we wrap this show up?
No, that's it. Fun fights tonight. I think there's 50 other fights. Last weekend, there was legitimately like 2 Bellator, a UFC, a ONE FC, PFL during the week, PFL during this week. We miss a ton. We don't hit everything. We try and highlight the big ones. It is what it is.
Hit the highlights. And on that note, for Drake and Mr. Shackle, for Dippers, as always, stay saucy.